All right, everyone, welcome back to the PricePlow podcast. It is October 11th. I'm starting off on that one because Mike always corrects me. And I want you guys all to know that it is October 11th, and we are here with our good friend Crick, who we previously knew from Proats. But if you guys follow us on Instagram, we have been really, really excited about these new gummies that he's been coming out with. So we're really excited to sit down and talk about how Crick, how he's been able to snackify some really fun, I guess, categories that we normally already like. We're already in energy, we're already in sleep, but we're bringing them into the snack realm. So let's all welcome Crick. Crick, if you want to give us like a little bit of background, like how you got into where you are. Obviously, Proats was how we met you, but like a little bit on who you are, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me on, guys. We've been following PricePlow for a long time, and we've obviously known each other for a long time. But in a past life, 10 plus years ago, I was a banker and I used to cover the food space. So after a couple of years of covering and helping other large food manufacturers on the finance side, I decided I wanted to jump into foray of food businesses myself. And I was always big into fitness, health, and just kind of the old adage, food is medicine, was always really stuck with me. So I started Proats Protein Snacks. We launched that 7 years ago. We're the first one to have protein chips. We built that business up pretty big, and we had some supply chain issues and to move on that business about 2 years ago. But while I was building that company, or moving past it, I came across Ollie's, like the gummy vitamin company, and all these gummy vitamins in general. But we had done a brand partnership with Ollie's, and my business partner Ryan came into my office, and I was popping the Ollie's gummy vitamins like candy. And he looks at me, he's like, dude, what are you doing? You can't eat them like that. And I looked at him, I was like, you're right, but who only eats two of these things? It's ridiculous. They taste too good. They are candy. So we looked at each other like, why doesn't anyone snackify this? This just makes so much more sense than snack. Like, this is what Haribo gummy bears are, like eating these gummy products across the board. And at that time, we also saw that this keto, low sugar candies were coming out and like doing phenomenally well, like Smart Sweets being the breadwinner there. And we realized that we can kind of marry these categories. So it took us about 2 years to do R&D and really make sure taste, texture, mouthfeel, and everything was where we want to be. And then also provide efficacy to consumers. But yeah, 2 years later, we just launched CandyCan, the first functional candy company.
I love that story so much. And when we got on our first call to talk about this, I'm glad you brought it back up because I think it's it's a funny point, but it's also super true. Like I got that way with multivitamins that are gummies. Mike before has completely demolished packages of gummies, like not and all over these different spaces. There's no way you can expect people to eat one gummy a day, especially with the flavor technology today, right?
Yeah. Even when we were raising money and talking, they also the same thing. They're like, yeah, you're right. Like, I have to hide my gummy vitamins. And even going back to like the Flintstone gummy vitamin days, like parents are hiding it from their kids because they want to eat more. But they taste great. They're a great snack. So our bags have over 15 gummies in a pack. You're supposed to eat the whole thing. And even like you can also kind of like dose yourself. Like if you don't want that much melatonin, you don't want that much caffeine or focus, whatever it is, you can half bag, quarter bag, or because we're kind of a mass market product, we see it as like one bag should be efficacious, but like you can have two bags and like it won't be overkill. I wouldn't do more than that because the fiber issue might be a little problem, but one bag should do it for you.
Yeah, I mean, these things. Oh, Mike, we can't hear you, Mike.
You're on mute, or?
Yeah, I think he's going to figure it out. I think one big point, like you said, is I especially want to say is like back in the day when people were eating Flintstones, kids were having to be kept away from those things. But even at that point, like that flavor technology was nowhere near where we're at now. You know, and not just to pump you up. This is a lot of the industry, you know, but CandyCan, I have a hard time eating just one bag of sleep. Like I want like three, you know, what's kind of fun about it, like you're saying, you can kind of dose yourself out. You have all of this stuff in there as an active ingredient, but you can start eating it like 45 minutes out. I just kind of snack on it on the couch while I'm getting ready to go to bed. So you left the banking industry and you went more into it. Did you already have all of these contacts for manufacturing for all these ideas, or did it take you some time to learn about this?
I mean, I had to learn. I call it hubris, ego, what have you. I was like, I'm already buying and selling billion-dollar companies. I know how to build a food company, and buying and selling a $250,000,000-billion-dollar company or whatever it is, and building a company from scratch in the food industry is vastly different. So I'll be honest, it took me about 2 to 3 years until we really got our shit together. I don't know if we can curse in this thing. I'm a New Yorker. I talk like a pirate. And it took me a couple of years to really get my legs under me. And then by that point, we really got to traction. And now this one, we kind of have really good relationships. Kind of hit the ground running well, and the feedback's been really good. And for us also, we're always trying to improve product. Like, we're never going to be satisfied with the product. I mean, I'm constantly tinkering. Like, even my last company, the chips, like 6 years in, we were still improving that product line. And that's how I am with this one. This first product line, I listened to so much feedback on product. Again, it took 2 years to develop this thing. And beyond that, like, I launch and I'm still listening to people. I'm still listening to guys like you. What do we need to do? How do we fix this? And how do we improve it? So, and that's kind of how we are as a whole. But yeah, I mean, we're really excited about it. It's doing well. It tastes great. We have new SKUs coming out. We've, I can actually disclose, we have an immunity SKU that comes out sometime next month. Really excited about that, which has a really good formula behind it and tastes great. So this is a fun category for me. It's like, I love supplements. I love snacking and like healthier foods. So like, marrying these categories for me, it just makes a ton of sense and just kind of brings value to consumers that in a way that's never been done before. It's like supplements, you guys know, like, there's just iteration on iteration on iteration. At some point, it's just commoditized and just branding, right? Which is, some of the branding has been really cool, but I mean, for me, I was like, how do I differentiate and bring real value to consumer in a fun, attractive way?
I think a big thing too is like, a lot of the industry is going so hardcore, high dose, like athlete, that a lot of the times people forget that so much of, maybe not the industry, because we're inside the industry, we see a lot of like hardcore athletes, but so much of the buying power for these is just normal consumers, right? Like I think we've seen it with, especially in the snacking element with like smart sweets and stuff. We're looking at people that just want something that isn't bad for them. So your products really have a wide demographic that you can speak to, and you don't have to get pigeonholed into like the most serious weightlifters in the industry.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, even look at like our focus line, it's got like 50 milligrams about of caffeine and a couple of grams of L-theanine and alpha GPC, which is really great ingredients themselves. And like I said, one bag is efficacious. Like, so you can eat it while you're doing work, studying for a test, for school, gaming. Like, the gamers are coming back to us saying like they really like it for that. And then sleep is just like that fruity snack before going to sleep. Like, I don't know about you guys, but at night I get the munchies and I just like want to eat something, whether it's sweet or popcorn or something. I always at nighttime. So like, the sleep one is a really cool product and I like it a lot. And also, like, something that's cool about this is like, you look at Ollie's, you look at Smarty Pants, any of these like Nature Made gummy bears, each gummy has like 3 grams of sugar, each one of them. My entire bag of CandyCan has 2 grams of sugar, and there's 15 plus gummies in there. Usually about 18, it's not exact. And also, those product lines have gelatin. Actually, one of the last things I was working on when I was a banker was like a sale of a German gelatin company, and I had no idea what gelatin was. Gelatin is disgusting. It's like the byproduct of animal processing. It is so gross, and like, that's what we're feeding our kids. Like, that's insane. So like, we're using pectin, which is pretty much the skin and peel of citrus fruits, so lemons, limes, things of that nature, and they just process it. So it gives a similar balance to gelatin, and you don't have that gross animal byproduct, and then there's just not as much sugar. It's not gonna make glucose response. We're using a really high quality branded fiber ingredient, Fiber Smart. So I feel really good about this product, and then we're just gonna keep bringing out new, fun, cool, attractive candy products as we go forward.
One of the things I love about it is that, and Mike, you're back. We can hear you.
Good, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things I like about it is because you initially compared it to Haribo, which you also use the word bouncy. Like, you chew on Haribo a long time. It's like the chewing time to swallow time is like, it's very long. With your product, it's quick and easy to snack on. You're not biting straight through it like a food, but it has just the right consistency for me, especially before bed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference between pectin and gelatin. Gelatin's got a little bit more of a bounce to it, and pectin's got a little bit more of a chew to it. Like, you can kind of bite through it a little easier.
Yeah.
And I've heard consumers go both ways. Like, people like gelatin more for this, and then some people like pectin more for this. And for me, like, I kind of like both of them. They're both different, but I just went the health route. And for me, when I'm listening to consumers, and like, I generally go toward health, but if it's like, I really hate this, I'm not going to do it. So like, even for like our sweetener, like we didn't just use stevia because like I heard enough feedback saying I hate that stevia aftertaste. So like what we did was stevia, monk fruit, polydextrin, pectin. So like the blend doesn't give you that back flavor. Like, I mean, did you guys taste any kind of back flavor? I got no feedback at all, not once on that sweetness, which is great because our earlier iterations did have that. And I really can't taste that stevia back sweetness one issue that people have. But like our earlier R&D ones, we were testing and sampling with people, and they're like, yeah, I could taste it. Like I was like, okay, we got to work on it. We got to figure out another blend of a sweetener that kind of masks it. And we don't have any of it anymore, which is great.
So Crick, now that I'm back, I wanted to back things up a little bit. I was trying to ask, so I want to clarify, the brand's name is CandyCan, one word,
CandyCan.
right? And could you show us, could you tell us the story behind the conception of that name?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually initially Vitalish, and we were just talking with so many people, and eventually there's like, it just sounds too much like vitamins. It's too like functional and like supplementy, and we wanted to be more of a functional snack and less of a, like, I don't know, again, a supplement kind of product. We want it to be a fun, healthy, functional candy that you can eat anytime. And again, the goal is to not just launch gummies. Like we want to go beyond gummies at some point and bring efficacy and health and functionality to the whole candy category. Like you look at bars, they're doing it across the board. Obviously drinks, there's tons of drinks. And I think food is the next evolution in functionality. So the concept is CandyCan. CandyCan help you sleep. CandyCan help you focus and improve memory. And CandyCan can improve your immune system, etc. So like it's just the functional aspect of candy can help and improve and optimize whatever it is.
Awesome. And the website is eatcandycan.com. So you have currently, as we speak, you have two products under the CandyCan brand name. You have CandyCan Focus and CandyCan Sleep. Obviously, it sounds like you're coming out with more stuff. And are you, where can you buy it? Is it just eatcandycan.com? That's it?
Yeah, eatcandycan.com. We're not in distribution or retail at the moment. We want to really have complete conversation with our customers, want to have that feedback and keep improving and keep listening to people what we should and shouldn't do. And we have immunity coming out in November, and then sometime next year, I think we're going to go into distribution and retail. Our last company was very heavy in that realm, but I mean, we really couldn't sell chips and popcorn online. It's not really cash accretive, like you're shipping air. So that this product line, you can go directly to consumers, have that conversation with consumers. And also I think just retailers like you when you already have a built up consumer base. So yeah, I'm excited to go into retail at some point.
Definitely. I can see this working real well on an end capper at the countertop. You kind of be like, what's this? And I'm holding a bag of, for those listening on audio feed, I'm holding a bag of Sleep. And so each product, I wanted to quickly mention, so you have the Focus one does have some caffeine, a whole bag, which is probably whatever, 15 gummies or so.
Yeah,
whole bag
like 17, 18. If we say plus 15, it's always a little bit different.
Gotcha. Yeah, it wasn't counting. It's just, okay. And so a whole bag has 50 milligrams of caffeine. That comes from coffee berry. And then you have the L-theanine, which is synergistic with the caffeine, alpha GPC providing some choline, and they are sour. Like this, they're coated with the malic acid or whatever you're doing to make them sour. And there are 3 different flavor berries, right?
Yeah. So we use an encapsulated malic acid, which is a little bit higher quality premium malic acid. You've seen some, like a lot of times what happens is like a random fact with gummies, or I learned myself, when you're coating gummies, it can either draw out moisture in the product or it will get reabsorbed into the gummy. So like you see a lot of sour gummy bear products, like not that sour, but when they go through the production line, they're really sour. So when you're getting them later on, the gummies actually just absorb that sour coating. We use something called encapsulated malic acid. So it has like almost a shell around it that protects it and from getting absorbed in that early process. So it lasts much longer. So you actually do have that actual sourness that people are craving. So that was something that took us 4 or 5 months to implement itself, like just figuring out the sour. We were doing so much R&D on sour coating itself. But yeah, I mean, the formula itself is, like I said, it's pretty well-rounded, efficacious. Alpha GPC, 75 milligrams, L-theanine, 75 milligrams, coffee berry, 70 milligrams, which equates to about 50 milligrams of caffeine. And for us, like I said, it's not a hardcore product. It's not meant to replace your pre-workout, right? It's not meant to be like a double espresso shot of coffee. It's to give you that little extra boost, you know, and the day it's a snack, and that's what we want to be. We want to be a fun, functional snack. And our sleep product line, same kind of thing, well-rounded with melatonin, proven ingredient, 3 milligrams, and lemon balm extract, kind of like that calming mind ingredient with 100 milligrams. Again, I've seen product lines for melatonin go from 2 to 5 milligrams, so we want to be kind of in the middle. And all our product lines, we say 1 bag should work, should be efficacious, but you can have 2 and it won't kill you, it'll be fine. But again, for me, there's a ton of fiber in this product that's kind of what's replacing the carbs and sugar. So I would, for me at least, make sure 1 bag you're okay and whatnot. And then if you want to go for another one, you can, or at least try it out. But I mean, I do 2, not most days, but some days I do 2, no problem. I've done 3 and then it's a little much.
So I got to ask, when you, one of the big things with gummies is the deliverability, the bioavailability, the ability for these ingredients to actually work. Early on in the formulation process, do you go to your manufacturer like, hey, these are my ideas and are these going to work? What's the process like finding out whether or not things are going to work for a gummy application?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate that we have one of the third largest gummy manufacturer in North America behind us. And even when we reached out to them, they even said, like, we don't bring new customers in just because to even turn the lines on, it's so expensive. And we only work with really big companies. We don't operate with small guys. But fortunately, the head of sales knew Protes and he knew my company. And he's like, oh, you guys are CEO, you guys are the owners of that company? Like, my kids eat that product line. So when we reached out, they actually were open to bring us in. We were the first new customer they brought in 2 years. They just like they were a huge company. So they already had great facility. Like I in my food banker days to my Protes days to now, like I've been to around 100 facilities, many food manufacturing facilities in my life, I'd say. And this was one of the best ones I've been to. And I've been to probably like a little shy of 10 supplement manufacturing facilities. So they have to have higher quality controls and procedures than most food. And this one was like top of the line. And their scientists are really, really impressive guys. And gummies is like not just a science and art. And most food manufacturing is not this precise. It's got to be so precise and with such small window of controls and kind of that bell curve of perfection, I guess you call it. Anyway, so when we reached out to them, we were actually working on a fit gummy. Because again, for me, that's kind of low-hanging fruit category and product lines that I understand and really have a connection to. And we started working with branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. And we wanted to put that into what we call a fit gummy. And they said, yeah, we can make it, but it's going to have some issues around it. And I was like, what's that? And it's like, they deteriorate. The gummy, the BCAAs themselves, on a cellular level, they kind of break down when they get that heat treatment. So you're not really going to have an efficacious product line. So that's when I see like gummy products with some BCAAs. I don't want to speak for other companies and whatnot, but like my understanding, they're just selling nothing. They're broken down. Your body doesn't absorb anything. And you're just selling, and most of those product lines are filled with sugar also. So you're just selling sugar, which is not what I ever want to do. So when we were formulating this, we had to make sure that 1, the ingredients itself are efficacious. 2, they actually withheld the cooking process and being placed into a gummy. So like probiotics is a category I really want to get into, and there's so much different product lines that comes with probiotics and so much difficult science to go through to see whether or not it is efficacious and actually withstands the cooking process and stays within gummies. So the jury's still out on that category and product line. And I do want to launch one eventually. I'm not sold on what some of these guys are telling me, and it's difficult to even test it. So I want to make sure that there is some truth and validity to the statements they're telling me. But yeah, so like I said, when we launched this and we did this, everything we put in the product stays in the product, doesn't get cooked out, and actually works. I mean, you guys have had the product. Like, I mean, for me, it knocks me out. Focus One, I feel a tangible difference, and I'm a big coffee drinker, so like, I had a cup of espresso before this. But yeah, I mean, I eat it. I'm like, I feel more in the zone. I'm actually like, and that I don't even think that's a placebo effect, because I mean, I've taken so many of these supplements, nootropics, whatnot. And like, I know if I'm feeling something or not at this point.
Yeah, I think Ben's going to do a video for this. So if I can interject, I want to throw in my review. Dude, I love these. Like right when you mentioned what you're up to, I was like sad that you moved on for about half a second. And then I realized that this is like such a good idea, because I'm sitting here with a bottle of another gummy that I'm basically, I have 2 left and I can't eat the rest because I still have to do the video for it. You just start eating them. The idea makes total sense. For me, the one thing I wanted to clarify that I said before, the Focus ones are sour. Before bed, they are not sour. They taste normal. So you have like 3 different flavors in them. And my mouth waters just thinking about the Focus ones. They might almost be like a smidge too sour, but it's like I think they're absolutely fantastic. Sometimes on Instagram I post like a little afternoon energy that I just do like a 1 scoop of a pre-workout or an energy drink or something in the afternoon, and these hit that perfectly. And then the same thing for me before bed with the sleep one. It's like the perfect sweet tooth shutdown steak before bed, jacking up your blood sugar all night long, which is no good. This is like just a perfect, and I haven't tested my blood sugar with these, but this is but generally prebiotic fibers haven't messed me up like this. And so this is the perfect way to just shut down the sweet tooth, get in a little bit of melatonin, and then the lemon balm, I think is the most underrated sleep ingredient there is. Even though I haven't found any studies on your exact dose or anything, but it is absolutely calming and like, in a way, slightly sedative. Whereas in the Focus, L-theanine kind of chills out the caffeine a little bit, but that's like a non-sedative way of doing it. A lemon balm is like
a mind calming effect. So L-theanine does have like, because I've seen L-theanine in sleep products, I've seen L-theanine in Focus products, right? Because L-theanine kind of works symbiotically together. It's like a mind calming effect. So it doesn't like, because if you have scatterbrained, that's why L-theanine kind of works to kind of hone you in on the task at hand. And it's also good for sleep. If you're like your mind's racing, you can't really sleep. So it actually does have validity and value to both functionalities, which is strange to think about it, but it actually does.
Yeah, I was, I'm totally stoked for you, dude. Like and then with the sleep in bed, I was sharing with my wife, and she loved them too. So it was, I only got 2 milligrams of melatonin in that night. So but either way, they work well. Lemon balm, I'm telling you folks, like if you're having trouble, I suggest taking a look at lemon balm. I'm a huge fan of the ingredient. And it's exciting to hear you got some other stuff cooking up, it sounds like. So are you able to leak anything, or you've kind of mentioned immunity?
Immunity is the only one. I mean, I'm looking at every category. So I'm looking at beauty, I'm looking at kids, I'm looking at, like I said, fit. I still would love to do a fit one. I love like your opinion on it. I'm just trying to think of what other ingredients can I put in it, because creatine doesn't really work either, because creatine doesn't like dissolve, it doesn't really blend or dissolve well, right, in like liquids. I haven't like figured out that something like more mass market kind of thing, but like we're looking at beauty right now. Kids, those are the 2 ones that are kind of low hanging fruit for me. But immunity comes out soon. We just finalized the formula on that. And then even these the new ones I'm looking at for, again, I'm always trying to improve. So like we have a V2 of Focus coming out and V2 of Sleep coming out, which will have different ingredients, a little bit more well-rounded in my opinion. So we're gonna have some like adaptogenic product lines in it. So like Focus, I believe it's ashwagandha or lion's mane. Lion's mane's the Focus one. I've been putting lion's mane in the Focus ones coming out eventually. I think in like a month and a half, 2 months, and then
so you're replacing the ones that
we're adding it.
Oh, okay, awesome. You're getting better and better at this. You probably never knew you'd be figuring out how to put stuff into gummies.
Yeah, definitely not. It's a different world, and I mean it's different than powders. Powders, you're just kind of mixing stuff up. This is like, how do I get it to make sure it's blended properly, tastes good, doesn't mess up functionality, and doesn't degrade in the cooking process. So there's a lot that goes into this. And then our immunity one was actually just elderberry, vitamin C, and vitamin D. And then we actually added turmeric and black pepper extract to make it more bioavailable.
The one thing that I would say beauty makes sense to me, and beauty is pretty easy. There's a lot of really great companies out there. Like New Live has a few different ingredients that could probably make it its way into a thing like this. Gut, you mentioned before, I think is the huge front for a lot of people. I'm not going to say what I think on the podcast because I don't want to give anyone else the answers. But I think after this, we could talk a little bit. But those are 2 huge fronts that are blowing up right now. Nootropics are already kind of hot. Everyone likes nootropics. So like that Focus side is really good. But I think that gut health and beauty right now are huge opportunities. And if you can snackify that, I think you make it really easy for people.
Yeah, especially with gut,
Go ahead.
you have a prebiotic fiber already in there. So your substrate,
exactly.
you're already
Yes.
providing half of the weapons. You just got to figure out how to close the rest of the formula out. So yeah, I would definitely expedite that one.
Yeah, if we could have like a probiotic, because we already have the prebiotic in it, like that would be great. I mean, it's something I'm thinking about. It just, again, like, I would love to talk to you guys off the call at some point and just be like, is there something, an ingredient you guys know that actually works? Like, again, like these guys, all the suppliers are trying to sell you
Yes.
anything. It's like, I don't know what you're selling me is snake oil or not, and like, even when I send it to the lab to get tested, like it's difficult to test this stuff. It's not like all the other like nutrition facts panels. Like that stuff's pretty easy to test now. Like this is like a little bit more difficult to test the actual validity of their statements and the science behind things. But
And then
like,
putting these things in a stack thing is even harder. Like the probiotics you mentioned before, they have to be live cultures. You really can't cook those. Lion's mane itself is a mushroom. So I actually can't believe you got that into a gummy. That's insane, because lion's mane doesn't taste good, like at all. So that must have been hard. So it adds a whole nother layer to this stuff. Not only do you have to find the ingredient, but it has to even be applicable to your situation. But I think also that micro encapsulation that you mentioned for the malic acid, maybe that could help you out as well. Yeah,
so that's a really good point. And that's something lion's mane, we didn't put so much in it that affected the taste so much, but you're right, the sour coating does help. The problem we actually had, this is a look behind the curtain, was the immunity. And I really wanted to get turmeric and turmeric, not really, that doesn't really work without black pepper. Like a lot of people don't know that, but like it's not bioavailable at all, and you need black pepper in it. So we had some issues with that, and like we couldn't get it to taste good. It took us a while. But we figured it out. It was a process.
Well, turmeric probably tastes like curry, right? And the black pepper tastes like black pepper. So
and you need a sweet kind of sour product. So like, how do you do that? And that took us. And our Copax, like, you had a good product with vitamin C, vitamin D, and elderberry. Like, why are we putting more? I was like, because it's just more efficacious. And like, again, like, focus, like you're gonna feel focused, right? You actually feel the effects. Sleep, you'll feel the effects. But immunity, you don't actually feel immunity. There's no way to feel immunity. And I don't want to sell snake oil. Like there's so many like dusting products. Like half these drink products are functional. Like you can back engineer the formulas if you know what you're doing. And I back engineer some of these things. And I'm just like, there's like a gram of BCAAs in this thing. There's like half a gram of creatine. Like this is nonsense. And who knows if it's even bioavailable or like degraded in your own mixing cooking process, whatever you guys are doing. So for me, I was like, I'm not going to sell snake oil. I'm just not going to do that. So I need to figure out a way to actually, there's truth and validity of the products we're selling.
I think the drink market point is huge. I mean, a few years back, there was a website that came out about a very popular energy drink that's carbonated that everyone knows, and with test results. And it's like, they claim the stuff on the label, but not only do the customers not even know what that would do for them anyway, because they're giving them like taurine and B vitamins, the dosages are so low, it doesn't even matter. So if you're going to come out with a snack, I think especially in 2021, people are starting to get smart.
I definitely think so. And I think that's a credit to you guys. I think it's your community. Like people are getting educated because of podcasts and websites and education fronts like you guys. And that speaks for me too. Like, again, I've been in the space for a long time, but like I get a lot of my information from you guys. And it's helpful and it's good for the community as a whole as we get more educated. And then guys like me, and then just, I heard you mentioned like Mark Lobliner, like that's another guy like everyone knows in this industry and respects. So, I mean, I think the industry's gotten a lot better. Like,
thank you.
I've been in it for about 10 years, but even before that, I've heard stories, and I've even had my own stories. I've seen some things, like I told you guys about like a manufacturing facility that didn't even have the line, ridiculous stuff. So, I mean, the industry's definitely gotten cleaned up, but it's still got its issues.
So this isn't like a competitive issue. You brought it up, but Mark's Outright Bar is like the reason I went down to Tennessee last weekend to see him, and he added in Velocitol from Nutrition 21 to that. So that, when I think about like where you can go, I think a lot of these patented ingredients being in a stack is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, the problem with these patented ingredients is they do have a lot of stipulations around how you put in their products, and it's easier to put some of those products in bigger supplements because you have to have this amount in it or you have to have this label on it. I'm like, I have a bag that is really tiny. I've got 40 grams in this thing. I only have so much room to put the product in. And So the only ingredient we have that is actually branded is coffee berry. That's a branded ingredient, and I'd like to put some more, but there is some issues around it. Like I was looking at bioparin for the black pepper extract, and I was unable to come to terms with their lawyer. And don't get me started on lawyers. Don't get me started. That's a whole nother thing. Like, if I don't have to deal with another lawyer the rest of my life, I'll be a happy man. But yeah, I mean, they're just couldn't get it done. And I was like, doing all right, you lost a customer. Like I would love to put your ingredient in it. I would love to have that functionality, but like end of the day, if I can find a good black pepper extract supplier, it's pretty similar, if not the same.
Interesting. So yeah, and getting back to doing a fit one, I think Ben would probably agree that like chasing just BCAs, I don't think is worth it in any way, just having some BCAs. So like it would be cute to do, but I think we can come
I wanted to. I did. I tried it and we wanted to test it ourselves. So what we did was, because they say like it works at first and then it will degrade quickly over time because it doesn't, again, it's like it gets weakened in the cooking process and then it doesn't have anything attached to it. There's no sugar in the product and then it needs to attach to sugar or something. And we actually tested it. So we did like a monthly test, and by the 4th month it was degrading. We could see it in the color, we could taste it a little bit. It would lose that oomph that like our product line has. And like that's the great thing about gummies, like they last a long time, like they shouldn't degrade. So after like 4 or 5 months we tasted it.
Okay, I see you have an expiration date here. I'm looking at July of 2023. Will it taste about the same, brother? Then I guess we can't prove that yet.
Yeah, I mean, we did a expedited shelf life testing, and they were like very much like, we did a small production run too, so like it'll sell out, no question, before then, no problem.
Right.
But like we are doing testing for like real time shelf life testing. We did expedited shelf life testing, and it came out to actually over 2 years, which is crazy. But I was like, I'm not doing more than that.
2 years is pretty standard anyway. I think even like a year would be, I don't think anyone would talk bad about until you get into distribution is one of the problems. But
yeah,
you know, hopefully the goal is that you're selling through faster than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything we did was small scale too. I always try and like test. It was a new partnership with the co-packer. It was a new product line. So we did like the minimum. So even the minimums on gummies are so high. There's a reason there's not a ton of gummy product lines out there. Like I remember my chips company, like the minimum was like 10 pallets, whatnot. This is like, it was just like pretty good. I mean, that's like not a crazy amount, like maybe 20, 30 grand. Like this was minimum is a full truckload, which is like $250,000 or something like that. Some ridiculous number. I'm just like, this is the minimum. He's like, we won't even turn the machines on. We won't even do R&D with you unless you're writing that kind of check. So, yeah, I mean, there is a significant barrier to entry. And the reason is there's just not enough production lines. Gummies are doing phenomenally well. Consumers want these kind of products. And on top of that, like these keto, low carb formulas, like there's maybe 5 or 6 brands doing it because it's not widely held knowledge. Like I spent a lot of money, time, and effort trying to find a manufacturer to back engineer this formula. And like a lot of them couldn't do it. I had a couple even lie to me, said they could. One in particular, Mohammed, that told me they had a production line, walked me through their entire facility of like powders and encapsulated pills and this, that. And I'm like, where's the gummy line? They're like, oh, you have to have an NDA. I was like, we have an NDA. It's like, you have to sign another one. I'm like, all right, you're full of shit. And turned out he was just lying to me the whole time. Like the production line's in China, and he's importing it. It's nonsense. So
welcome to supplements.
Yeah, it's supplements. I hit you up then after that. Like, have you heard of this shit? Like, what am I dealing with? So again, I've tangentially been connected to the supplement industry because it's going to Olympia, connecting to guys like you, going to the Arnold, all the Europa games, all these expos. Like, I'm a lot of friends with the supplement industry, but I was never like a supplement industry guy per se, because I was chips, popcorn, I was more on the snacking side. And this was our first foray into like more the supplement side. And I was just like, what the heck is this? Like, what is going on? This is guys outright lying to me for 2 hours. Like, this is insane.
That's a great analogy to the supplement industry, because you can have a supplement fact panel on that bottle that is just not true. Like a lot of this stuff is just smoke and mirrors, unfortunately. So we do our best to try to help people navigate the industry. And that kind of brings me maybe into a second discussion is really like the efficacy of snacks. There's a lot of class actions that happen in this industry because like cookies or peanut butter spreads or stuff like that doesn't spec out. And I think a lot of that comes from scaling, from going from a small business, like doing stuff yourself, to a larger business. And I think this is maybe negated because you went straight to a manufacturer to start. But But have you guys run into any problems? I think you've kind of already mentioned it's hard to test this stuff, but it seems like you've been in snacks for a little bit. What are you doing to make sure that you don't end up like that?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of testing on our actual nutrition facts panel because that's like where we needed to make sure we were in line and everything
Yeah.
was correct. But the actual ingredients themselves, like we make sure we're putting in overages to cover that. And like we really lean on our co-packer for that knowledge and expertise. And like I said, these guys have been around for 15 years or so. And I think they're the third largest in North America. And like, they don't put nonsense into the market. They won't mess around. Like they're pretty good. Like we don't, again, another look behind the curtains, like gummies traditionally are made on a cornstarch line, which is kind of gross. Like it's like a mold that is repeatedly used of corn, like, and then powder. And it's just like, it's dirty. But the thing is, the more you use it, the harder it gets, and it gets quicker and better. It's like more efficient on the production line. But for a consumer, that's gross because this thing's not getting clean at all. It's just disgusting. But for us, we actually use a much higher grade mold. We actually use a Teflon mold, which is way more expensive, much slower, but it's a much cleaner process, and you get much better efficacy in your product, more precise product, right? Because like with the actual ingredients you're putting in, and it's cleaner. Like you're cleaning the line every single time, going into every single one, scrubbing it, which again takes a lot more time, labor, effort, but it's worth it when you're trying to put out a beneficial, functional product line to the market. And that's something that we were also mandating in our co-packer search, was making sure they had a steel or Teflon mold, not a cornstarch mold, which the majority of the industry is run by, because that's just cheaper and quicker.
I believe actually, last I checked on your Instagram, there's video of your manufacturing in that mold, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So if people listening at home want to check this out, I think your Instagram has it saved as a highlight.
Yeah, so if you go into our Instagram, and the BTS behind the scenes highlight like icon, it's a bear, it's like a little wrench. You can click on, you can see all our stuff being made, which is really cool, and it's fun to watch that stuff. And like I said, I've been to over 100 facilities in my lifetime, and I'm still every single time watching this stuff been like amazed, like a kid, like wow, like this the technology here, and it's like, you ever like see that Reddit thing, like oddly satisfying? It's like oddly satisfying watching this stuff go through. You just kind of like get mesmerized for the time period.
Well, I think that's been a big change in the industry as a whole, is transparency over the last 5-10 years. Is before, maybe we should give a shout out to like Mark Glazier. Like before the recent renaissance of this industry, like no one knew what this even looked like. No one knew. People thought like powders was just mixed in a bathtub, or it just magically appeared in a tub for people. And
which a lot of it is, though.
Yes, but we hope that it's not. So actually getting to see it for you guys is really cool, because now we've been exposed to a lot of the powders being mixed and maybe even capsules, but manufacturing snacks is one of those things that I still expect to come from China.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like I said, it took us about 2 years to put this product out there. So I'm gonna say the first 6 months was finding the right co-packer. And like we talked with a lot of guys, went to a lot of facilities, had that whole run around one facility, walking through the facility, had another guy tell me he could do it, spent like way more than I'd like to acknowledge on it, and like kept our cash. And then finally came to these guys, and then we finally got it ready to go. And then actually just more of a heartfelt piece, like my business partner, Ryan, had cancer. And we had to go through chemotherapy, which was crazy. But we put everything on pause for 4 or 5 months while he was going through that. And he wanted to keep it going. I was like, dude, like I can't keep going. But we did a little bit. He still did some testing, did some R&D. But I was like, we're gonna put this on a standstill until we know you're gonna be here, man. Because I'm not launching this thing without you. And like cancer wasn't supposed to spread. It did spread, and like spread bad. But thank God he's young, resilient, and he's a fucking fighter, and he got through it. And we are where we're today, launched, he's cancer free, and everything's doing well, and we're really happy.
So this is a success story in multiple different ways too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like coming back up from our last company, moving on from that one, and then like building this thing, and then Ryan having cancer and like fighting through it, and like being cancer free today, and like now this thing launching, and like the great responses we're getting, like we just feel very fortunate. But I think it's one of those kind of things where you're just like, you got to keep fighting, you got to keep moving forward. And it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up, right?
Yeah. So let me ask, you've mentioned, so we know you've kind of moved on from the protein days, and that's really big on the protein. But you mentioned some other modalities of maybe that could be coming to CandyCan. Are all of your prospects candy at this point?
Yeah. I think that's the realm we want to stay in. We want to stay in candy. I mean, I don't see ourselves going much beyond that. Like right now, our focus is gummies, and that's where we want to stay for the time being. But like, I could see us going to lollipops. I could see us going into gum. I could see us going into any sort of adjacent candy category. Chocolate, of course, makes the most sense for
Yeah.
different things. And I mean, but right now, low hanging fruit is just kind of building this brand, the gummy space. I think that just consumers are used to eating functionalities in gummies, and I think the commonality issue that people run into is like, I want to eat more than two. Like that's just frustrating. It was frustrating me as a child. It's frustrating me today. And I think that's the same for everyone. It's frustrating. I want to actually eat these things. It's like they made them great. But then we cleaned it up also. We took the sugar out. We took the gelatin out. We added the fiber, prebiotic fibers, and like we put functional nutrition into it. I think that's just great. And for me, like my dad was always kind of a health nut, strangely, before it was even a thing. I remember like my mom had to like hide Oreos from me, so I love them so much. But like I kind of, as growing up, like gotten more into it now, like kind of a little bit obsessed with it, and like do blood work on myself every quarter. My girlfriend looks at me like I'm freaking crazy, but like I don't know, I just really am a fan of this stuff. And I always joke with her, I'm like, I'm gonna live forever. Like I'm immortal.
He's gonna make a joke. Just don't take out the life insurance.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any blood changes since you began experimenting with the CandyCan? Like I can notice, I would think I've seen situations where the fiber will lower LDL cholesterol, for instance. Like, did you notice any trends that happened and I don't want you to make claims, obviously, but trends that happened once you started this thing?
And I'm also going to say that it's not one size fits all. Everyone's body's different. So like Fiber Smart, like for the most part, shouldn't affect your blood levels. And we've done some testing, and for the most part, it didn't. But we did see some people that did, and we did test that. So you're going to have different responses, but most part, it should be fine. And again, when you test it out, it does test as fiber, which is what you want. And for me, I didn't really test the glucose levels or insulin spikes in my body. Actually, what I did see though was my, not to get crude, my bathroom usage. It became more steady, more solid. My girlfriend said the same thing, and she's like I'm like solid. I'm like, good to know, baby.
Man, these are the things we talk about. You learned that, you know, maybe doing 2 bags might not be the best idea.
Yeah,
I
recommend like a bag, half a bag to start. See what your tolerance is. If you're a big guy, whatever, like a bag should be no problem. If you're like my girlfriend, like 110 pounds, like start with half a bag, see how it goes, see how you feel. But like, because it's real fiber. It's not like some of this fluff that I've seen in the market, like whatever it is. It's real fiber. You should actually have some kind of response to it. 1 bag is efficacious with the functional ingredients you have, but you may have like a bathroom response. But it's not like a diarrhea or like there's also a no, from what I've seen at least, no gastrointestinal bloating at all. Nobody's come back to me saying like I feel sick. What you do see with some of these products is actually that problem. And like inulin is a great product line, a great like chicory fiber. It's the same thing. You see that in some gummies because one is a great prebiotic, and 2, it actually gives a really nice bounce, and it mimics gelatin. The big problem is the human body can only really absorb or really be okay with like 2, maybe 4 grams max. And I've seen some product lines with 10 plus. And I actually, I'm not going to name the brand because I don't like to disparage anyone. I actually tried one of our competitors' products, and I back engineered. I think they had like 18 grams of inulin in it. And the way they're trying to get around it was by claiming it was 2 servings a bag. And I'm like, a bag this size, like you're crazy. Like this is 2 servings. So I looked at it, like no consumer's going to eat like this. I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'1", 200 pounds. Let me try and eat this whole thing. I ate the whole thing. And oh my God, I was in pain. I was in the bathroom. I had to leave the office. And my business partner, Ryan's looking at me, he's like, dude, you okay? I was like, no, I'm not okay. Like, I need to go to the hospital. Something, I'm dying here. I've never experienced pain like that. And I was like, they're going to kill people. Like, this is crazy. And then I see like the Amazon reviews of some of these products, and they're hilarious. Like, just hilarious. There's the flatulence, the stomach aches, the bathroom trips. Like, and I didn't want to mess with it. So we went with a different soluble corn fiber ingredient. We didn't go chicory fiber, which again, like, I'm not saying that's a bad ingredient. I'm saying in certain dosages. And I think also that goes to some of these not necessarily manufacturers, some of these brand owners just not knowing the ingredients they're putting in. I just think that they don't have do as much research as they should at each individual ingredient and as they're putting it into the product and how it actually affects you and like the tolerances to it. And they say, oh, chicory fiber, it's really good for you. But like the human body can only tolerate so much before they actually have some serious issues. And like I said, I'm a big guy and I had that problem. So I can only imagine what like smaller people did.
Right. Yeah. What we see with some of the fibers that we like better are that people, and I don't want to make any claims, especially with this, because that's not the purpose of the product, but with some of these fibers, if you're constipated, they loosen you up, and the psyllium does this as well. And some of the studies talking about the soluble corn fiber, also talking about psyllium. So kind of, they work sometimes similarly in this way. If you're constipated, they'll loosen you up. If you have too much diarrhea, they'll firm you up. So they're kind of like regulating in a way. And my personal anecdote is that I took 2 bags. I did a sleep at night and then a focus, that day. And I was perfectly fine. My gut is perfectly fine all the time, unless I have soybean oil. So
you're taking a lot of fiber products, so I feel like, right? Because I think your body's acclimated to it already.
No, dude, I'm like closer to, I eat primarily meat. So
okay, no mind then.
So no, but yeah. So I personally don't have a problem with soluble corn fiber. As long as there's no corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, all that nonsense, I'm good to go. So I don't know. I can't speak more highly of what you're doing. I think it's fun. Like and it works with your personality. You're like kind of a fun, jovial, you're a talkative person, and this is that kind of brand that it fits, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun for me because, like I said, I love supplement categories. I love snacking. I get a chance to marry the two and actually bring benefits, like we call it sweet benefits, to the consumer, which is fun. I mean, it's just, like, I just love these categories for a long time, and it's also great for me now to kind of reconnect with people in the industry like yourselves, guys I've become friends with over the years. So like, I can't wait to go back in distribution. I can't wait to hit up some of the old sales guys and distributors and retailers that I had great relationships in the past, and they were all sad to see Protes go. And I mean, I'm excited to kind of bring a new product line to them and re-engage in those relationships and hopefully see everybody at expos again. And man, I have fun with this space, man. I have a good time with this. I love the R&D. I love the grind, and although R&D is work and like building and launching things is work, like there's nothing better than being back in it and like really hitting the ground running, which is just a great feeling after 2 years kind of being off and formulating and whatnot. So I'm excited.
I couldn't agree with Mike more about like it fitting you. Like one of my biggest problems in this industry is meeting with CEOs or owners, whatever, and the brand just does not match them. They're trying to be the Rich Piana, they're trying to be a Jay Cutler, but they're not. It's clearly not them. And being with you at expos, like you're always having fun, you're always enjoying it, but but I'm not saying that you aren't fit. You enjoy the benefits of the fit lifestyle. Like I think you're wearing like a Rogue t-shirt. Like you're not like, you're not like trying to fake everyone out and be like, I'm a bodybuilder. You're not like, you enjoy fitness, you enjoy life, you enjoy the benefits. It's super on brand.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never get on stage. I'll never hear the powerlifting meet like you, but I follow this stuff. Like I follow powerlifting, I follow bodybuilding. I watched the Olympia on like a computer this weekend. Like I'm about it. My girlfriend thinks I'm crazy, but like I'm about it. I've always enjoyed this stuff. And like I still try and hit the gym 4 or 5 days a week, but like, yeah, I'm never gonna get on gear. I'm never gonna get on stage, but like I do take supplements. I love this stuff. I am biohacking and trying to optimize as much as I can. And no joke, I do love these events. I actually do have a good time. I'm like, beyond just like the one thing I do hate is setting up and getting your booth all stuff. That's always a logistical nightmare. And the worst part is the unions. The unions come in, they don't allow you to use wheels. So like, I remember at Olympia one year, we were doing really well. I had to bring like, I had a double booth. So I had like bring like 2 or 3 pallets worth of product, and I wasn't allowed to wheel anything. So me and like 6 members of my team are carrying cases from the parking lot back and forth, while all the union workers are just looking at us and laughing at us. And I was like, you assholes, like fucking give me one of your goddamn cards. And we had cards, and like, you can't use them. We own the wheel rights. I'll never forget that. That really bothered me. And I'm hoping they changed it from Vegas to Orlando. I hope they changed that rule because that was insane. I've never seen anything like that.
Screwdrivers as well. Anytime you have to use a tool, I remember having people block the vision from me. I won't say what company I was at the time, but having like people stand in the way because these unions won't allow you to turn any screws. They won't let you to do anything. And
Wow.
I want to say I love Expos, but I love Expos a lot more now that I'm not at a brand.
Yeah. It's the worst part, setting up and breaking down. But like actually the Expos themselves, ton of fun, great time. You get to meet people, like get to tell them about your brand, or you meet people who already know about your brand. You get to like connect. Like, oh, I bought it. Like, give an anecdotal story. Like it's fun. And then like you're talking to people on social media, so it's like fun to kind of re-engage with those people. Like I've reconnected with a ton of like influencers and people in the industry like I haven't seen in years, and like pre-COVID kind of stuff. And I'm like reconnecting. I'm like kind of catching up with their lives. Like, hey man, how's your wife? How's your kids? Like it's just great kind of reconnecting with everyone. And like you said, like I became friends with a lot of people in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
So like I'm just excited to be back in it.
So Crick, it sounds like you you are going to be doing conventions with this, whether or not there's unions, or like it seems like a very friendly brand for that. Do you have a plan? Because a lot of brands are getting away from that, obviously, especially after 2020.
Yeah, so what we're thinking is sometime next year is when we're going to start jumping back into that foray once we go into distribution and retail. Right now, again, it's purely on our website, purely online. But we'll jump back into the space. We'll whether it's the Europa Games, whether it's the Arnold or Olympia, what have you. There's again, I always have fun at these things, and I think there's still value to them. And the costing was getting a little bit more expensive, especially in like a digital world. And I think that they have to come to terms with that at some level, and then try to figure out a way to make it worth the brand's time a little bit better. But I mean, I do see a value still in talking to people one-to-one, and even like as a consumer, like although I never actually went to one of these events as a consumer, if I didn't have a brand, I probably would, right? I actually do like walking the floor. I actually do like talking with brands, seeing what else is out there, getting samples of stuff, and then like they always have show deals. So as a brand owner, I'm buying stuff. I'm buying shirts and things, like I have a good time with it all,
You're the quintessential extrovert. One last question for me. Are you bringing on ambassadors or affiliate coupon code people, or like sponsored athletes or anything like that? And is it okay if, like, let's say they are already affiliated with a sports nutrition brand or something like that, and this is kind of...
So we haven't built out an affiliate program yet, but we think we're going to pretty soon. It's something we're working on. Right now, we're just doing some like influencer marketing stuff and people we have mostly connection with from our past life. And then we're kind of building out slowly. I don't think we'll ever sponsor athletes because the brand's not really like a sponsored athlete kind of brand, right? It's a little bit more mass market. But we do think we'll have affiliate programs. We do have like influencer partnerships, and we do have like, again, like a lot of really good relationships, and it's really good to connect with people. And like some of these guys, like they speak from the heart. They're not just like nonsense, just posting the post kind of thing. And like they are providing value. Like I follow some of these guys like for their workout routine, just to give myself like new tips and guidance on things. And I mean, like I said, I've been working out for 17, 20 years. I don't know. I'm 32, so about 15, so around 17. It's not 15. I started seriously working out. And I've been taking supplements for about that same time, but I'm still learning. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I'm like, even the gummy space, like the amount of things I've learned in this space in such a short period of time, but like I made sure to become an expert in my field, right? So like chips manufacturing, I like to myself an expert in chips manufacturing, in popcorn manufacturing. I know the ins and out, every single piece of machinery, most of the manufacturers, and I know the processes really well. Gummy manufacturing, I'm not pretending I'm there yet, but I'm trying to get there. And I'm trying to get there with all my ingredients as well. I want to make sure I know every single piece of it. And whether it's a 100-page research report on a specific ingredient I'm putting in my product line, you better believe I'm going to take the time to read that. And I'm going to try and understand, does this bring value to my consumer? And is this actually something I want to include in my product line?
So I got one last question before we wrap this up. So a lot of the times, especially in a market like this, you're held back by the manufacturing. Maybe it's the minimums, maybe it's the possibilities of how they do it. Maybe it takes you out of a category and brings you into a thing like this. For whatever reason, that can be an obstacle. Have you ever considered, if you, like you were mentioning, becoming an expert or trying to, have you ever considered going vertically integrated and manufacturing yourself?
Great question. We thought about it in our last company because it's a little cheaper. Maybe a little shy of $1 million to get a good line together for chips and popcorn. Unfortunately, gummies are vastly more expensive, and even the lead time on production line. I just talked with a company, pretty big one. My friend's the head of consumer corporate finance there. Tried to call with him actually yesterday or Saturday, and he's trying to sell his line, and he's looking for a price tag of $9 million. So I don't see myself anytime soon dishing out that kind of cash.
I'm calling it right now. Crick is going to be manufacturing his own gummies before 2030. If I'm wrong, I will give away a bag of gummies.
Okay.
But no, dude, I believe in you, man. I think that if you need to, you will find a way. Hopefully you don't need to, and hopefully business goes along well. But
I mean, there's certain categories that are much easier to vertically integrate. Like powders are kind of tough, but you could kind of do it. Like there's a lot more like plug and play ways to do it. Like they make it easier for you, the suppliers. Like whether it's like peanut butters. Peanut butter is one of the easiest categories to vertically integrate. Like it's a very simple product line to do. If you're cooking it yourself and whatnot and roasting, a little bit more difficult. That adds a layer of complexity, but like just the blending of peanut butter, super simple. Like sauces, hot sauce. Again, I'm kind of a quasi expert in food manufacturing as a whole. Like hot sauces. If you're co-packing hot sauces, what are you doing? Like there's no reason to do that. But like chips, you could do it yourself, but it's going to cost you about $1 million to get like a good line and facility together. And then like gummies, it's not just the line. You got to find good scientists. You got to find good people. And then you got to get not just like SQF audited. You have to get, what's the supplement audit? You need to get like that higher degree.
111, yeah.
So it's another degree and layer of complexity that you have to have. And like most of the time, that's like those are like pharmaceutical facilities.
Yeah.
Like they're so top of the line. And for us to even like consider it, like it would be like a 2-year project. It's not like an overnight kind of thing.
So we talked a lot in the podcast about, like liability of the things actually lining up and actually testing out. By having a co-packer do it for you, by having someone manufacture it for you, you're kind of trusting them. And hopefully that helps. Once you start to vertically integrate, you assume all of that risk. Obviously, in the supplement space, you do assume all the risk for your manufacturer. But even if you get sued, you can bring them in. In this case, you'd have no one to turn to for help. That would be my biggest concern, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the risk you take with any product line. But you also just have to know you're bringing a product line to market with efficacy and validity and what you're putting out there. And that's kind of what we did. Again, that's probably also the reason we spent so long developing this product line. That's probably the reason we took so long finding which functional ingredients not only work but actually are in the product line. Like a lot of multivitamin product lines, like they lose efficacy in cooking process. We already talked about prebiotic, talk about BCAAs. Like anything I put out, I want to make sure it stays stable in a gummy and it actually works. And you guys can attest to it. The focus actually works. The sleep actually works. Like there's actual tangible feel to the product. And for product lines that don't have a feel, whether it's beauty or whether that's immunity, I still want to bring that same level of truth and brand product. So I want to make sure that there is real structure and value to what we're bringing to our product lines.
Well, I definitely think you've accomplished that. And I think everyone's going to be really excited to see more of it once this drops. So we've gone for about an hour here. So I'll definitely say, I think I'm ready to close it off. Cool. I think, Mike, you didn't have any other questions, right?
No, dude, I've loved this. As you can tell, I am so bullish on Crick and CandyCan.
Thanks, guys. Well, I appreciate the time here. And then if anyone wants to check us out, it's eatcandycan.com, eatcandycan on all social media platforms. And yeah, man, give us a shout out and try us out. But I hope people enjoy it. And if you guys have any kind of suggestions, any kind of feedback, like reach out to us, hey@eatcandycan.com, or shoot us a DM on social media. We're always listening. I'm responding, or Ryan or one of my employees is responding. Like we're on it. We like to have communication. That's also why we went direct consumer for such a long time. We want to have that conversation because again, it's harder right now, but when we're not at expos and stuff, like, so this is the perfect opportunity for us to talk to you.
Awesome.
Crick, do you do any personal Instagramming either that we should share, or is that?
No, I've always been the man behind the brand. I've never had a personal Instagram. And I remember I made one for like 2 weeks because everyone's like, yo, Prote's is a big company. You've got to have something. So I did it for like 2 weeks and I was like, I want the brand to stand on its own legs. I understand the value and like of being like a Tom Billio and like being Quest and being the guy, you know, I get that value. I get the Mark Lobliner, but he was already a big guy before that. I don't want to be I don't want to be an influencer. I do like, I do like talking to people, but like, I have no aspirations of fame at all.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on. We both do. And so you mentioned your Instagram, or at least your company's. I don't think there's anything else that we finish it off with that. So you seem like you've done this before.
Yeah. It's not my first rodeo.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Cool, guys. Good times.
Yep.
Talk
Later.
soon.